I am live. I am alive. Both those things. That is tremendous. Hi, it's Robin Da Vinci. Um, I am going to talk to you today about a very uncomfortable subject, and I really need you to listen. This is urgent. Okay, first on my Boomer Apology Tour, I want to say I am truly sorry on behalf of our generation that we didn't teach future generations how to plan for their death while living their life to its fullest. That was hard to say. Planning for your death while living your life to its fullest. I get so many weird comments in my walk of life, being an accountant, from people who don't have what they would call an estate. Most of us don't. And they say, what does it matter? I'll be dead anyway. And I'll say, wow, we didn't do a very good job letting people know that they have to consider other people when they're with their life. They can't just uh, go away and have no impact on the people they care about. Now, admittedly, there may be some of you that don't have anybody in your life that you care about, and you may not want to plan for anything for anybody in the future. But there is a real need for us to be careful about how we live our life and what we do in planning so that our death doesn't be impact everybody so much. Besides them being sad and mournful, think about the anger and the hurt and the confusion if you don't have things set up so they can understand it. This is why I rail against the princess and the knight in the shining armor theories and all of this, because we don't get together and plan. And I want to tell you that I started planning for this when I was very young. Why? Because I was afraid. I did not want my children to be left without any money if I were to die. And I put in place who would take my children and all of these things. And people said, God, that's sort of morbid, isn't it? I said, it makes me sleep at night because I know that if I don't wake up, my kids have some money and they have adults that will take care of them. Now you say, my kids are grown. What do I care? What? Why don't you care? This is just amazing to me. I can't fathom it. Maybe it's because the way I'm put together, but I'm going to try and get all of you on the same page. So the attitude that I'll be dead, who cares? That's not okay. I'll be dead and I'll let my kids figure it out. That's really not okay. I'll be dead and my spouse doesn't know what to do with the money because they've never handled it. That's not okay. You know, if you know me at all and you've watched any of my videos, I believe in communication. I believe in teamwork. I believe in group decisions. And I don't believe that anybody is an island. And I don't care if you think you are, but really no man is an island. And so I'm going to give you some helpful tips today in this video that will not only help you in your finances, but it will also make your life simpler, where you'll be able to live it without worry. The number one thing you have to do is list your assets. Make a spreadsheet, write it on a piece of paper, put it in a safe, give it to your best friend to hold on to for you, seal it in an envelope, whatever it takes to make you feel protected, but list assets. That means a wedding ring or a diamond ring or camera equipment or your car or anything that matters to you that has value that someone else needs to take care of when you're gone. Now, big tip, when you buy a car with someone else, make sure it says or on the registration, not Joe Smith and Debbie Smith or John Lewis and Alfred Lewis, but or John Smith or Debbie Smith, John Lewis or Alfred Lewis. Or means that someone can take care of your car in your absence and sell it. That means someone else, owner, registered owner, can take care of that asset for you after your death. Let's say you bought a brand new Lexus. when you go to register it, if you have a partner, it's got to be or. That way, in upon your exit from life, they can take care of that car. With your assets, if you have a special ring or a brooch or a necklace or camera equipment or some sort of furniture, antique furniture that has value, or a television even that you just bought, it's good to list that asset and to whom you wish it to go. Now, is it binding if you don't have it in a will or a trust? Probably not, but at least if you just have a television that is valuable, maybe it's a really expensive TV and has sound equipment. If you list that you want it to go someone, it's under what probation would be, not probation, but now I'm not coming up with the word, but it's under what probate would be. And you can give that away. You can say, okay, I have this television and this equipment and it's worth $2,500 and I want it to go to my Uncle Jim, or I want it to go to my brother, or I want it to go to my sister. And you have it somewhere where it's listed and someone can open it and say, oh, they made plans for the things that they have. So don't believe that you have to be wealthy to be able to give away things upon your death, or make it possible for other people to easily take care of what you've left when you're gone. Number one, list those things and to whom you want them to go. Now, obviously, most of us don't have much of anything that anybody would want, but you might have some jewelry. You might have, something else that needs to go somewhere after you die. You don't want people storming your house and taking things when you don't have a list. If you have someone that you trust that can take the list and make sure that happens, at least that's a step better than having nothing written down. Okay? Number one. Number two, people believe that when they die, that their debt dies with them. That's not necessarily true. You actually need to read about that and research it. Your debt can fall to someone else, believe it or not, in your absence. If you have any sort of money when you die, your debtors will expect that to be paid off by the money you have. You don't get to just get out of it. So I've met a few people who have run up a lot of debt thinking that in their absence, that debt will be dissolved. It can be dissolved with a death certificate and someone saying they don't have any assets. But if there's any assets under your Social Security number, that debt will have to be paid. So my next suggestion after listing your assets, please list your debt. Please say what you owe and to whom and how much it is. And you can keep updating that if you do a spreadsheet, every 6 months, and you just have the years and say, okay, at January 1st, 2021, at June 30th, 2021, this is what I owe. These are my credit cards. This is my mortgage. This is my car payment. This is what I have. Okay. It's just smart. Your partner should know, your spouse should know, your roommate should know, your parents should know. Anybody that is going to be stuck with your stuff after you go should know what your crap is. If they should know. You should never leave people in the dark. It's part of the problem I'm seeing right now in the United States is people are saying it's not my problem. Yes, it is. We are all intertwined and we are all each other's problems. So if you think your dying is going to be easy on anybody after the emotional pain and then the mental anguish, there's some practicalities that you have to put in place so that someone's not stuck with your stuff. Don't be naive. If you don't know the rules, figure out the rules. Don't be naive. Okay. Number 3, I have written down, schedule your bills. Let people know when they are due so that you have due dates. Almost everybody, your credit cards are due on the same day every month, the same date. Your auto insurance. Those things have to be canceled. You have to let someone know if you have auto debits coming out of your account. So let's say you have auto insurance and renter's insurance or mortgage insurance, and they're all being debited from your account. Someone needs to know to stop those things, or that's going to take money out of your account. You just can't have all these auto debits, which lots of people do right now. They have auto debits for minimal credit card payments and all of those things. And if someone doesn't know to stop them, any money you may have is reduced. And if you're leaving money to your spouse or a partner or something, it's going to be greatly reduced by money that shouldn't be coming out of your account. So list your bills, list the due dates, make it so someone can stop those things. Have a power of attorney for your life so that someone else can step in and make that stop, because getting that money back is going to be way more difficult than having it stop right away. A death certificate will stop auto debits, will stop those kind of things, I believe. You need to get advice, but you need to have something in place so someone can at least act on it. Okay? What I'm saying is you just got to have someone in your corner that can act on these things. So let's say you die with $6,000 in your account and you've got all these auto debits coming. It's going to reduce that cash for no reason, because you don't need your auto insurance anymore or your renter's insurance or any of those things. You don't need them to keep debiting if you're not here. And I know this makes people queasy. I actually talk to more people who are queasy on this subject than aren't. Most people go, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Sometimes my kids will say, Mom, stop. But I have everything organized, and they're going to say, thank you, Mom, when I go. Okay. They're going to thank me for not leaving a mess to them. And I don't have any big stuff, but I do have things in order so that they won't be confused and, running around trying to solve problems when there's no need to do that. There's just no need to have them do that. So now what you have to do is get a life insurance policy. The first policy I took out was in my 20s because my children were very young. And I took out a policy that was like $32 a month for $100,000. And then I upped it in my 40s to $500,000, and it was only $56 a month for a term of 20 years. And before that one ran out, I went ahead and got a new one and made sure things are in place. I know that some people say, I can't get a life insurance policy because I have this thing wrong with me or that thing wrong with me. And, if you've already investigated and you can't get insurance, I understand. But if you're young and you have a young family, and if you die, they are greatly impacted, get a life insurance policy. Get a policy that will pay for your funeral or your cremation, and that will give your spouse or your partner enough time to solve your debt and stuff and live a little bit before it all comes crashing down. Do you know how many families have to do GoFundMe's just to get a funeral paid for? And I understand that right now, economically, people are in bad condition. And I am going to be here when we come out of this and when we get on to a better place and when people get back to their lives. But for right now, if you are in the position to get a life insurance policy, get one. Now, I'm going to say something that's kind of dark humor, and I'm going to tell you what was said to me by someone just recently. They said, I'm not getting a life insurance policy because I don't want anybody killing me for my life insurance. And that goes to a whole nother level of planning that I can't even address. And I had no idea what to say to them. I said, wow, that's a bigger problem than I can solve for you by requesting that you get a life insurance policy. It is reasonable to get a term policy. A lot of times, whole life policies, you need to read up the definition of whole life, and maybe in the new year, I will go ahead and I will say, this is what term policy is. This is what whole life policy is, this is what this is, these are annuities, this is, I have insurance experts in my life that can explain those things. But term insurance means usually that it's for a period of time, it has a fixed premium, and it will cover you through the, let's say, from 28 to 48 while your kids are little, or 30 to 50, or 35 to 55. A 20-year term insurance policy will get you through and make sure that your kids are have money for them, and your spouse or your partner. You need to do that. And people who are hesitating to do it because it makes them nervous, or it makes them feel bad, or it makes it feel like they're jinxing themselves, that's not true. I have to tell you, for the most part, it helps people sleep at night. It helps people rest, knowing that if they're not there next month, that their family won't starve, or their family won't have to depend on other people, or whatever it is. It's really, really smart. I don't know if you know this. This is just an added extra little tidbit, that most partners in a business take out life insurance on each other, so that if one of the partners dies, that the company can go forward. And there's private agreements among the partners that that life insurance will be for taking care of the business and taking care of things. If it goes to the partners, they will then invest it in the business. There's lots of reasons to get life insurance, and I know it's funny to call it life insurance, but it's actually death insurance that helps the people that live on after you're gone. That's really what it's about. And it's important to do when you have a family, really important to do if you have loved ones who depend on your income, or have loved ones who depend on your financial ability to take care of the bills, etc., and they don't know anything about them. So leaving people in a lurch, honestly, that's kind of immoral and unconscionable. You really can't do that. You have to take care of the people you love. And you say, well, gosh, what if I'm throwing that life insurance money away? Um, what if I get a 20-year life insurance policy and I live past it? Well, good for you. Excellent. Stop thinking of it as throwing money away. And I get a lot of people saying that to me too. Number one, I'll be dead, who cares? Number two, I don't want people, thinking I'm worth something in my death and taking advantage of that. And number three, I don't want to throw premiums away every month if I'm going to live way past that time. That's not the attitude you should have. This is a way to ensure that if you get hit by a bus, or you're in a plane crash, or you get a disease that you didn't know you had, or you die from an act of violence, there will be something there for your family in your absence, for the people who are left with your debt, or the people that are left holding the bag on a mortgage or whatever. That's why lenders now are so involved in making you pay for mortgage insurance, because they're paid in case you die. And I know a lot of people don't realize that that's what they want. They want you to insure, and they almost always insist on it now if you're in that gray area of mortgagee. They want you to say, I'm paying for a policy that will pay off this mortgage if I'm not here. Everybody is trying to, manage your death. Honestly, everybody's trying to manage your debt and your death. So don't be cavalier about not taking care of your death while you're living your life to the fullest. It's really important. Do I say that everybody needs a will and a trust? In a perfect world where everybody can afford a lawyer or the fees to put it together, yes, everybody should have a will and a trust. Everybody should have a durable power of attorney, and everybody should have someone designated to take care of you if you're sick. It's called a health care power of attorney. You should have those in place. If you don't have them in place, it causes a lot of problems if you are in the hospital and you're sick. So My recommendation is that everybody have a will, a trust, a durable power of attorney for your affairs, and a durable power of attorney for your healthcare. My family has those things in place for the most part. And I encourage them all the time to make sure they get those things done. So let's say your parents have a house that is paid for, and you know that you're going to inherit the house, but there's nothing in writing, and you think just because you're the next of kin that you can automatically get that house with no problem. That's a mistake, especially depending on the value of the house. That house needs to be in a will and maybe even in the family trust. And you are designated as the person to get that house. And that's the best way not to have family feuds, is that it's all spelled out. In fact, it's better to spell it out and tell everybody in advance that it's spelled out. Let everybody know what the plan is for that house. Let everybody know what the plan is for the jewelry your mother has. Let everybody know that this is already written down. It's already etched in stone. There's not going to be any family fighting. There's not going to be this craziness at the end where people swoop in on the house and take stuff. No, it's already designated. It's already stated emphatically where everything goes and to whom it goes to, and that this house and its belongings and your parents' estate or whatever is already spelled out. That way nobody can fight with each other. I mean, I'm not saying it'll solve everything, but for sure people won't fight with each other and it will go more smoothly. So if you're a young person with a family who has assets that they haven't accounted for in a will or a trust, I'm encouraging you to sit down and have that difficult conversation. I'm encouraging you to say, you know what, mom and dad, not knowing what's happening with this is causing me anxiety. And I love you and I want this spelled out. I am worried that at the end of your life, someone is going to swoop in and argue about this. And I think you should designate where your money goes. I need to know your picture. Now, is that as much a difficult conversation as any other money conversation? Absolutely. In this world, we refuse to have difficult conversations. If you have it now, it really, really takes care of all those difficult moments after this person's gone. Arrange for it now. Take care of it now. Look into it now. Sit your parents down. Sit your aunt and uncle down. Sometimes what we have is a grandparent and one relative. We don't have a mom and dad. I don't have a mom and dad. I don't have really much family at all, but I've taken care of what I've got for my children so they don't have to worry about it. But, and I'm going to give you this very, very powerful story. My mom was declining. This was 11 years ago. And she was really, really uncomfortable talking about what we were to do when she died. She didn't want a funeral and she didn't want a memorial. She didn't want anything. And she decided she wanted to be cremated. So we said, okay. And we called a company and said, my mom wants to be cremated. How can we set this up? And they said, either your mom, we can meet with your mom and your mom can sign the papers, or the three of you, my brother, sister, and I, would have to all be together and sign that this is what we were going to do. And that would have bypassed my mother and that difficult moment when she's signing for her cremation. Well, we couldn't get my brother into the picture because he lived out of state. So I went to my mom and said, Mom, what if we had these people come over and you sign your own documents and they tell you what will go on and you will know everything and we will pay for it now and it will be taken care of. And at first she said no, but we persisted, my sister and I, and then she said yes. And they came and met her at her assisted living home and we all sat there and she signed her documents on her own. They spoke to her. She read through everything and understood. We paid for it, and they left. And upon her death, they picked her up and took care of everything. And I'm telling you this because it was a very sobering moment on the morning that they came to pick up her body. Whoa. It takes my breath away to this day that it was such a sobering moment that my mother's 90 years were over. But my sister and I did not have to worry. All her worldly possessions had been accounted for, and it was done. And I'm talking to you very respectfully because I know it's difficult. And I know if you have your parents, it's going to be a difficult conversation. And depending on their belief system, it could be more complicated than what my mom did. And I know that. But I want you to know that it was an incredible moment when she chose to sign that herself and get that done. And it saved my sister and I a lot of anguish. So if you are in a position to pull that off, I'm telling you, go do it. Do not hesitate to get that taken care of. Have that tough conversation. You may have to have 7 of them. You may have to break through the first time, and then you may have to readdress and address and address and address it until finally everybody's on board. It's a difficult conversation, just like taking a car away from an elderly person, just like having to put someone in a home because they are no longer able to take care of themselves or you are unable to take care of them. I could go on and on about insurance, long-term care insurance. Get it when you're young because it's expensive when you're old. I got my long-term care insurance in my 40s. Because why? Because I didn't want to try and get it when I was in my 60s or 70s and be rejected and or have it be $1,500 a month. Though those things you can do to prepare. I'm going to, of course, address these individually in videos to come. I will take on insurance if enough people like and subscribe to my video on this particular subject. I will get insurance experts and tell you the scoop. But right now, I'm telling you, you need to have these difficult conversations, even if it's just with yourself. You have to acknowledge it first. Then you have to get your siblings or your family on board, and then you have to act on it. You have to not only just talk about it, but you have to make it happen. So I know this has been a difficult video to listen to, but I hope it sparks some action. I hope it sparks in you a way of thinking it in positive terms, that while living your life to your fullest, you have your death planned out. You have, so that the people that are emotionally a mess after you're gone, they can live their life to their fullest, and they learn from you how to plan that, and they learn from you how to take care of things. It's all about simple bookkeeping and simple steps to ensure good finances. I'm all about money and finances and addressing the tough issues and getting people on board with your financial picture. And this area is one that stumps more people than it should and causes people more grief than it should, and it brings up all kinds of problems. And you need to address it now. So thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Please let me know other topics you want to talk about, but this is really an important one, and I will delve into it further. I will certainly get you more information on different kinds of insurance and what might be best for you. You can research it and find out. There's so much available online now for you to learn. So thank you. Like and subscribe. Go to my website, robindavinci.com. And I appreciate you more than you know. And take good care of yourselves. Thank you.